What's up, everybody? Unrested here with another very quick JFAQ, Japan's frequently asked questions. I, of course, am unrested with the questions you requested. Today we're going to be talking about summertime in Japan because, yes, it is now summertime. And one thing you may not know is there's a couple of weird quirks in Japan about summertime. Just a couple things I'll go over real quick. You're probably going to see a couple of these things pop up in the news soon because they happen every year. There's also a couple other weird idiosyncrasies about Japan that you might not already know. Some things that go on here, different customs. For example, next week we have Oban Week, which is a nice little Saturday through, I think, all the way to Monday that we have off. A good 10 days off that we're going to have. Thank goodness I need that break. So that's something that goes on every summer. Usually what you're doing during Oban is you're using that time to go and visit your ancestors' graves. Usually what you do when you visit these graves is go and clean them, do some upkeep on them. If you're very polite and you have very good manners, you'll clean all the graveyards, well, not graveyards, the gravestones, I should say, next to yours. It's a very, very polite thing to do. So if you do travel with a friend or a family member and have to go do a little bit of cleanup on the ancestral grave, try to clean the one next to you too. Maybe if you've got some old dead flowers in there, replace a few if you've got a couple extra flowers with you. Wipe that stone down. Like, make it look nice. Do your elders proud. So, a couple other things that are a little bit strange that you may be surprised to find out is a lot of times during the hottest months in Japan, you're going to see Japanese people wearing long sleeves. This really surprised me coming from Florida where it's very hot all the time. The hotter it gets in Florida, the more you try to actually dress down. You try to wear tank tops, you try to go sleeveless. I mean, you wear little to no clothing. Some people literally wear shorts and a bikini top. I don't, actually, so sorry, you're not going to get to see any pictures of unrested in a bikini top. I apologize. But here in Japan, you'll see women start to wear these giant Darth Vader type visors that cover their entire face, these long armbands, and I mean, they go all the way from the wrist on up to the shoulder. You may see me wearing these too, but this is usually to cover up my tattoos. This isn't to keep the sun out. And that's what these guys, are girls, I should say, are wearing them for. Sometimes you see guys wearing it too. They're covering up their skin to keep the tan out. And it's seen as a beauty thing to keep your skin as white as you can here in Japan. The weird thing, this is one aspect of it I never really quite understand. You'll see this practice even by women who are like up in their 80s and 70s, and it's just kind of like, at that point, are you really that worried about your skin? I mean, maybe on the concept of getting skin cancer, maybe that's an aspect that they're looking at, in which case I can kind of understand that. Maybe, and if I don't know, enough about cancer and how skin cancer works, I may be totally wrong. That may be the only reason that those older women are doing it. But are the ones actually doing it for the beauty effects, for trying to keep their skin pure and white looking? Because, I mean, 70 and 80, men and women alike, you're kind of past your point. Anyway, moving on from there, they'll also be carrying around umbrellas. They'll carry around umbrellas just as much as you would see a bunch of people in a storm carry around umbrellas. Mostly, you do only see women carrying around the umbrellas. Again, this is to keep the sun out, to keep them as white as possible. This can be a little bit annoying. This can actually be a bit of a pet peeve for someone who's my height, because pretty much every Japanese person carrying a umbrella, that umbrella comes right up where my eye level is, and I've almost been hit or have been hit in the eye or close to my eye by umbrella. And it's because Japan's a very crowded place. It's not really a place where you can fit umbrellas through all the time. And sometimes you're shoulder to shoulder, and when you've got an umbrella in the middle of there, it's a little bit annoying. So, one thing to watch out for if you're, 6 feet or taller, I guess, is the point I'd put you at. Maybe if you're a really short person, you'll be fine. You'll duck under all those umbrellas. On top of that, we got another kind of strange thing. This one always kind of confuses me too, and leads me to wonder why Japan doesn't do more to prevent this. So there's a lot of schools and there's a lot of old people who refuse to turn on their air condition during summertime. Now, there's a couple reasons for this. One is there is a urban myth. It's definitely a myth, 100%. It started in South Korea. It traveled over to Japan. That if you leave a fan on overnight, it can kill you. And you're just like, what do you mean, Scott? Like just an electric fan? Yeah. Yeah, just an electric fan. That if you leave an electric fan on overnight to keep yourself cool, to blow around the air a little bit, keep it circulating, it can kill you. Um, how and why this myth started, I do not know. I think it was just like, I don't know, technophobia, fear of new technology. When the fan came out, this was a rumor that started, and it's so bad. It's so bad that there was actually a report. I remember one time there was a ship that was lost at sea, and some of the crew had already died and everything, and there was nothing left but the captain and like two survivors, and they were adrift at sea. They still had some electricity and everything, and it was super hot. It was in the middle of the summer, and they were begging the captain to turn on the fan, and he wouldn't let them turn on the electric fan in their castaway ship because he feared that they would die in the middle of the night if they fell asleep and the fan was still on. I mean, don't mind the fact that you're in the middle of the ocean with salt water and sharks and everything all around you. The electric fan's gonna kill you on the ship. Whatever. And this proceeds even into the use of the air condition. There's people here who believe that using the air condition at night can kill you too, to the point that a lot of old people in Japan who believe this myth refuse to turn on their air condition every year during the night. And the biggest problem with this is, and it's sad, I'm not laughing about this, but there's a lot of deaths attributed to people literally sweating to death in the middle of the night, like losing so much that they become dehydrated and go into shock. Pretty much the equivalent to like sunstroke or heat stroke, or, you know, becoming so dehydrated that you die because you sweat out in the middle of the night. I don't know if you realize this, but if you're like an old person, you're taking a ton of medication. Oftentimes, if you take a huge amount of medication, you're actually sweating out quite a bit more because your kidneys are having to process quite a bit of medicine, and they're going to push out all the things that your body can't process. So you're sweating more than usual. That's why you'll often see that like old people say that they're hot more often if they're taking a ton of medication. It's because their kidneys are constantly processing all this, and their kidneys have gotten kind of old over time. They tend to sweat like quite a bit more because of that. Or their temperature can fluctuate the opposite way too, where they can get too cold, and that's why you'll see like old people wearing like a jacket in the middle of summer. You'll be like, "Whoa, are you cold? You serious?" So they tend to turn off the air condition, and sadly they die. A lot of old people die in the middle of the night here in Japan during the summer. We'll have like a huge attribution of deaths contributed to the simple fact that they just didn't turn on the air condition in the middle of the night. It's a sad thing. The other thing where this goes too far, I think, and I really hate to see this, is public schools in Japan, for the most part, usually don't have air conditions. I've seen a few that do, and usually private schools do. But in Japan, public schools don't have air condition. They don't really even have heating, really. They just bring in kind of this like wheeled-in space heater that really does little more than heat a small section of the room to an uncomfortably hot level. It's really inefficient. If you saw how these really old school like roll-in space heaters they have, they're super inefficient. But the same thing goes for air conditioning. They have no air conditioning installed for the most part. For the most part, don't get me wrong. There's probably an exception to that rule, and if I don't make this disclaimer now, someone'll be like, "That's not true, Scott. I saw a school where they had an air conditioning." Okay, great, dude. You proved me wrong. I'm totally wrong about everything else. Anyway, um, and every year there's a bunch of kids who get heat stroke. There was one summer when I was here, I think it was the third year I was here, it was the hottest summer in 113 years. And there was something that year around 40,000 nationwide cases of heat stroke just in elementary to junior high school aged kids. And they had to be like rushed to the hospital. That means like they had to call an ambulance and have them rushed to the hospital because of heat stroke. In a country that is dealing with a huge depopulation due to the lack of children, they are your most precious resource. Why you would jeopardize their life? I do not understand. So that's one thing. Japan, please explain why you don't turn on the air condition for little kids. I've been to kindergartens and stuff where the poor kids like that their hair is like matted to their head that are just like covered in sweat. I've worked at plenty of kindergartens where they never turn it on. So anyway, so that's just a few strange little facts about a summer in Japan. I will say if you do come here during this time, a lot of people I do see come visit Japan, be ready to dress light. Be ready to dress as light as you possibly can. Tank tops everywhere you go. If you've got tattoos, don't worry about hiding them. If you're only visiting for a short time, don't worry about hiding them. Just dress down and stay as cool as you possibly can. Get a lot of liquids, stay hydrated throughout the day. Be careful with that alcohol intake. I know you like to party when you come here. I understand, but trust me, even at nighttime, you'll end up with the worst hangover you've ever had in your entire life because you'll be sweating more than you believe. Anyway, I'm Unrested. This is JFAQ. I hope you enjoyed this today. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe.